Hey tubes, Cyber924 here. Just wanted to show you a new gun in my collection. As you can see, if you're a big time video gamer, you'll know what this is. No, this is not an HKG3. This is a HKG3 clone though. It does use a HKG3 parts kit on it, but this is a semi-automatic version. This is a Century Arms Cetme 308. Yes, before Cetme, this is imported by Century Arms. So I know nowadays you'll see the Century Arms C308. This is before that. The cool thing, reason why I bought this was because, as you can see on the stamping on there, it says Cetme Sporter 308. So it's got the Cetme on it. With the newer guns out there now, it'll just say C308. So if it's got the Cetme on it, it's actually kind of cool. Just to give you a little bit of brief history on this firearm. After World War II, a bunch of gun designers from Mauser. Actually, let's go farther back. Let's go further back. During the war, there was two firearms that they were trying to create, to push for in mass production. As we all know, we've heard of the STG-44, the Sturmgewehr, which a lot of people think is the first real assault rifle, but in truth, it really isn't. And then there was also another gun made by the Mauser Corporation, the STG-45. But as we know, if you're really big into history, the STG-44 was picked, and that was the gun that was put into mass production. The STG-45 was put onto the back burner. The makers, or the Mauser, engineers from Mauser, after the war, decided to leave Germany. And they went to France in the late 1940s. France wanted to use the STG-45 as their primary battle rifle, and they also wanted to manufacture and market the rifle to other countries for the possibility of them adopting as their primary battle rifle. Unfortunately, that did not work out. The engineers from Mauser left. They left France and they went to Spain. Now there is a company called Cetme. I don't know what the acronym stands for. The English translation is kind of weird, but they decided to create a whole new rifle. And they started this in the late 1940s, and then into the 1950s came the Cetme rifle. It was chambered in 308. They tried testing with a few different kind of test cartridges, but they decided to go with a NATO cartridge because by the time this rifle came out, there was the United Nations, and everybody was clamoring to have. A lot of people were clamoring to have a NATO spec cartridge, as we can see with the United States with the M14 and so on. Once the Cetme 308 came out, it was Spain's primary battle rifle for the military. And also by that time, the German army was looking to get a new rifle as well. But of course, with the end of World War II, all they really had was border guards, and the border guards bought several of the Cetme 308 rifles. They tried them out. They didn't like them. They decided to go with the FNFAL. When Germany was able to actually have an army again, they actually revisited the Cetme 308. They bought several of them. And also at that time, Mauser engineers and designers left Spain, went back to Germany, and formed the company Heckler & Koch. And they took the Cetme 308 rifle. They made some very minor changes. One change I could tell you now is what we can see here. Let me just get this into the shot. The actual rear sight went from this kind of peep style sight to more of a diopter sight, as you will see in the MP5, and they gave it the designation HKG3. HKG3 was used quite some time. Many other countries adopted the HKG3. It was a select fire 308 caliber battle rifle. Many countries used it. Some countries still use it today. I know the German Army uses the G3 as a designated marksman rifle because now they use the G36, a 5.56 select fire battle rifle. And with that, HK had a massive amount of G3 parts kits, as well as magazines, and of course other companies decided they wanted to create them. Century Arms is a company that used G3 parts kits, and they created them. They gave them the Cetme designation, and then other companies like PTR. Of course, HK did come out with the HK91, which is a civilian version, but with the HK91, those are extremely scarce, and they are very highly collectible and very expensive. So if you are able to get your hands on an HK91, hey, more power to you. But what we have here is a Century Arms, is a HK parts kit imported by Century Arms. This is a semi-automatic version. And just to give you a little bit of actually more information into the gun, like I said, this is a semi-automatic 308 caliber rifle, or 7.62 by 51 millimeter NATO. In most cases, if guns are able to shoot 308, you can use it for 7.62 by 51. If it's only able to shoot 7.62 by 51, then you really can't use 308 caliber ammunition in it. This gun is a stamped firearm with a delayed roller blowback system. So there's no gas pistol, it's not like a direct impingement system and like in the M16 ARs. It's not like a gas piston system like the AK. This is delayed roller blowback. I will show you the insides of it. But as we can see right here, this one's a little bit different. This one has some updated features to it. As you can see right now, it has a Tapco collapsible stock. This is how I purchased the rifle. And then we do have a Picatinny rail system. So we have 3 rails, 2 on the sides, 1 on the bottom. It does have a hand grip, hand grip on it. I will replace this with something different on it. As we can see, we do have the charging handle. And also, just to show everyone all the safety nuts out there, it is an unloaded magazine. This is an HKG3 surplus aluminum magazine. You can pick these up at Cheaper Than Dirt for, I would say, $2. Yeah, $2.91. I picked up 19 mags because this one came with the Cetme mag, so I got 20 mags with it. I think I paid like $80 altogether for 19 mags. So I mean, for $2.91, it's definitely a good deal. Let's just try to get some better shots of this. And it's like just going to show the safety nuts out there. As you can see, it's unloaded. There is no ammunition for it. As we can see here, here's the charging handle. The charging handle is very synonymous with the HK series of rifles. I mean, HK, like the MP5. It does have the ability so that you can slap it like the MP5, like you see in a lot of movies. I mean, this rifle you do see in a lot of video games. Right here we have the pistol grip as well as the safety. This is the selector switch. Fire, safe, fire, safe. Like I said, it is a semi-auto. You do have your peep sights right here. It goes from 100 meter all the way out to 400 meters. And you do have a front sight as well. It does have these nubs right here that you can actually buy special mounts to that will have a rail on top, so you can do optics on it. Or if you wanted, you can actually drill and tap and put your own Picatinny rail on here. Some people do that, and I know with the PTR, their rifles now have the rail system already on it. Let's get into actual disassembly of the firearm. I'm just trying to get a good view on this. As we can see back here, we have two takedown pins. These pins are non-captive. Sometimes it's a little difficult to get all these pins out, so sometimes I use a little brass punch to sort of get it out, or even just a little hammer will do the trick. It's a little stiff. And with a little punch, I can actually pull this out. You have your two pins. Now, if you had the fixed stock, you would actually have holes in here where you can actually hold the pins into it. And just to let you know, this thing is a bit of a pain to get off. I mean, I have taken it apart. There we go. And as we can see right here, you have your recoil spring right here. And if we can just pull the charging handle back, here we go. And this is what I mean by delayed roller blowback. It has these little rollers here that actually roll across the actual inside of the upper receiver of the gun, and that's how the gun works. Actually, it fires the cartridge fires, put the gases. Actually, the gases will go into. Well, the gases will actually push the gun. Will push the whole entire carrier back, strips the round out, puts a new round in. Now with the roller blowback systems, they tend to be very violent. I know some YouTubers have posted videos stating like if you use brass case ammunition, that these things will throw the brass long distances, and also it does deform the brass. So if you are going to reload, I guess from watching other YouTube videos, it's really better to just use steel case ammunition. And as we can see, we pull this down, and this is the actual fire control group. It's actually quite interesting, and that is your basic field strip of the Cetme 308. And as you can see right here, there's this little shelf here where the fire control group sits on. Now, one thing you'll notice in the military arms channel that Tim says that with the original HKG3, there's an actual pin that actually holds the fire control group together. There is no shelf. With the semi-auto version, they put this shelf in there. Why, I do not know. I haven't done much research to figure out why. An interesting thing with this is if you do take these things apart to clean it, be very careful not to push the bolt. Push this back, because if you push this back, the rollers will extend out, and believe me, it is quite difficult. I haven't had much experience on taking these bolts apart, so I'm a a little slow at it, and just it becomes very time consuming. But you know, eventually I'll get used to it. But to put the thing back together, we just slip the whole carrier back into the firearm itself. Like I said, I'm still not really used to this yet. Make sure the charging handle is pushed forward. And we'll just take this out and put the stuff back in. I think that's why. Yeah, do not try to put this back together if it's on its side, because the rollers will actually protrude out the other way. That's what I was, as you can see right here, the rollers actually stick out, so it's better to, if you're doing this upside down, kind of hold the rollers in there, and the receiver goes back in. You put the fire control group back on. There we go. And then the stock and recoil spring just go right back into it, like so. There we go. Slap it back in. And then all we do is we insert the pins back in place. Of course, also make sure that your holes match up, because if they don't, then you're going to have problems sticking these pins back in. A little gentle persuasion. And there we go. We have pins back in place. Then we do a quick function check. As always with a function check, I always want to make sure that the safety works. And also to sort of, before I sum this video up, just to show you how to put the magazines in. It is kind of like a rock and lock type style. They fit in like so. And that's pretty much it. I mean, with the HK G3 mags, some of the mags I have, they go in easy. Some of them are a little bit difficult, but you know, it's par for the course. The Cetme mags, if you try buying them on the surplus market, I've seen them go for about $6 to $8 a piece. But for $2.91 a piece, it's definitely worth it. It's a 20-round box, aluminum or steel mags. And also you have the mag release right here. I picked this thing up without tax. It was about 650 bucks. If you want to go brand new, PTRs are going to run you base price about $1,200. So if you can find yourself a used PTR, a used Cetme, or you can even go with the C308s that Century Arms has out. I think those are in about the $1,000 mark, so you do save a little money there. Surplus market is readily available as far as parts. So if you need If you want to change out your grips, if you want to go with like OD green grips or tan grips in stock versus black, you can do that. They're readily available and they're actually fairly affordable. It's a great piece of, I think, of firearms history. You should definitely get it. And also, these things do love steel case 308, so you can shoot 308 cheap without having to waste money on brass cased. I always love the views. Please rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much and have a good one.